Built into the traditions of the elite U.S. East Coast universities are a collection of student-led societies for the most accomplished of senior classmen. The organizations are renowned for their rosters of leadership and alumni who have held influential positions post-graduation. They have been such an integral part of the fabric of the Ivy League schools that even characters from F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby are implied to have belonged to them so as to emphasize their success. One of the most exclusive of the societies boasts an impressive amount of members who went on to powerful posts within the CIA, positions on the Supreme Court, and even a number of U.S. presidents. This case file, join the theorists as they crack open the tomb and crack a few inside room 322 with Skull and Bones.
Welcome to Alien Theorists Theorizing Case File 250 Skull and Bones. I'm Braden.
I'm Zell.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
Don't worry about that little guy.
Don't worry
about that little guy.
Yeah, don't. I was just saying before we recorded, we fucked up. We should have saved this one for 322, but you know, it is what it is.
There's no guarantees. We might not get there. We might be dead before.
We also said we wouldn't get this far. Or
This is true.
200, and we said we'd never get to 100.
Every milestone, we're like, nah, there's no chance.
There's not a chance we'll get there. But we did, and we have. So, it's all good.
We can do a revisit at 322.
At 322, maybe by then we'll be initiates.
We'll be accepted. Yeah.
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 We'll be tapped
to the super exclusive elite club with massive family pedigree.
We'll have our own secret society by then.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of do.
We do. We got the Theorists.
The Theorists.
Yeah, the Theorists.
Guess we do. Yeah. Ours is
Reading
cooler.
about this, yeah, and listen, we gotta get some better hard and fast rules here for the theorites, for memberships.
Yeah,
Ponzi scheme, baby.
More of an initiation.
But don't tell them. You can't tell them it's a Ponzi scheme or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Multi-level marketing.
Yeah, you get a bunch of your friends to give you money.
Hey, it's still early. Get in while it's early.
Yeah,
that's
get
all I'm
in while
saying.
it's early.
It's like crypto
It's only
2017.
case file 250. All right, get in while it's still early. Come on.
Yeah, you won't believe this. The stuff we're going to teach you in our course in the Theorite Club. Every month we're going to have a seminar.
We're going to release a little nugget of information that'll help you along your life journey.
Where Dan will teach you about meditation.
If you pay a little bit more, you can part of the fucking Elite Theorist Club.
Yeah.
And then there's the Golden Elite Theorist Club.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Platinum Elite.
Platinum.
Yep.
Diamond.
Yeah, Diamond.
Don't forget Diamond.
Yep.
Yeah. The Platinum Club.
Yeah.
All right. For high rollers.
Absolutely.
Working on it.
Zell, before we get started, why don't you tell everyone why you're going to die halfway through this case file?
One of the benefits of having a small child is they bring home random things.
You act like your small child who can't walk is out roaming the streets.
Yeah, I let her go and she just brings home shit. No,
She flies at night, I guess.
Yeah, she's open. Leave the window open. She's gone. No, I got this fucking disease called hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Yeah.
And what happened is now I feel like I have 100 mosquito bites on the palms of my hands and the bottom of my feet.
So terrible.
And it's like I feel like taking sandpaper and just shredding my skin to the bone.
Just do it.
Getting rid of them.
Just do it for that second of relief.
Yeah. Life-altering decisions for that.
Take a cheese grater.
Yeah.
fucking chop 'em
what the
off.
people really want to know is, are you shitting in the bucket again?
No, not this time. Last time, COVID 2021, I had 10 days in the garage, shitting in a bucket.
Yeah.
The poop bucket.
Now we don't have renters in our basement, so I have a second bathroom so I can live in the basement. So
Nice.
I'll just do a few days down there.
Yeah, until you're...
It's a much
So you're
more
just
common.
bones.
It's a common disease, so it's not.
Yeah, in like third world countries, I guess. Yeah.
That was a huge outbreak going on here.
No, my kids had it too.
Huge outbreak.
Yeah.
You had it too, you motherfucker.
No, I didn't.
No.
I
Braden
did, but I had it in a third world country.
Mind you, you know what? Daycares are
excuse.
pretty much a third world country.
This is true.
It's true.
It's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
wild.
Fair enough.
Anyways,
Pools of
Everyone's
disease.
just fucking sucking everything. They're just putting their mouths on all the
Yeah, it's
plate
awful.
set. Oh. Tonight we're talking about
Pirates.
pirates. One of Yale's oldest secret societies, the Skull and Bones. I actually didn't know, like, it surprised me. Like, I was kind of curious. I was like watching this one documentary and they're like, Yale's home to like numerous secret societies. So I like looked it up and like actively right now, there are 41 secret societies operating out of Yale as the home base at the moment.
I feel like
Whole
if you
bunch.
know about them, it doesn't. It kind of like like it's
Dude,
it's not so secret.
It's unbelievable. You got the Apostles, Book and Snake, the Double Cuffs, Fork and Knife, the Kappa Masturbatas, Myth and Sword, the Finky
The Hobnobs.
Stingers,
The
Hobnobs, Scroll and
Wolf's
Key, Skull and Bones, obviously, the Pork and Beans,
The Regina Phalanges.
the Cock and Bulls, St. Elmo's.
You think he's making some of these up, but he's probably not.
No, the Torch. You got the Whiskey and Cokes. You got the Whips.
You got
the newly
Days
formed-
Bonanz.
You got the newly formed WAPs. Dan, I think you said Wolfhead. You got the Elizabeth Club, Pick Daddy and the Dills.
why does this sound like a
Doug and the Slugs.
Doug and stuff. Yeah.
sounds like an Irish folk band music festival.
sounds like gangs from the movie The Warriors?
Some of those names may have not been made up. We'll leave that up to you to decide. But there's 41. I was so surprised by that number because I was like, God damn, man! Everyone and their mom has a secret society running out of Yale. Now there are the more prestigious ones, and what I found out was that interesting enough was that I always thought that Skull and Bones was the one, the wealthiest one. It's not. It like ranks number 5 on the list for assets and stuff. Behind, I think it's Scroll and Keys, the richest, then Wolf's Head, Book is Snake, Elizabeth Club, and then Skull and Bones. As in assets, I think they have $4.5
Skull
million
and Bones
in
kind of.
assets.
Yeah, but the Skull and Bones kind of, they might not have as many assets, but I think they might separate themselves with more, like, I'd say elite members or members that have accomplished more.
More notable.
If you hashtag look it up.
Well, we're going to tell you about it.
So Skull and Bones was founded in 1832 at the private Ivy League Yale University, which is located in New Haven, Connecticut. And it had already been established at that point for about 131 years. So Yale is old, if you didn't know. Yale is fucking old. Like, it's an old university. It's been around forever.
Isn't it like the first university?
It's one of the, it's been around since colonial days, since they were still like colonial things. It's part of the Ivy League, which is like, there's
Since
like 8 other
colonial
universities in
Williamsburg.
there.
Well,
like,
I think it actually used to, like, they shortened the name, but the actual full name was Ye Old College, but now they just shortened it Yale.
Yale.
Yeah. Checks out.
And what kind of presaged the formation of the society is, like Brayton said, that there were a number of secret societies, and then back then they weren't really called secret societies. More like what the term was usually is like literary societies was the kind of the name that
Fucking
they
book
used
clubs
for a lot
nerds.
of these. Yeah. I mean, think Dead Poet Society. Like, it's very much like, it's pretty much that stuff is what it was. If anybody's seen that with Robin Williams, if you haven't, watch it. It's good. Good movie.
And I mean, more on the nail to this case file, watch Skull and Bones. Or is it Skull? Just Bone? What's the one with Josh Hartnett?
The Skulls. It's The Skulls.
Yeah.
And Josh Hartnett is not in it.
Who's in it?
Fucking
Paul
the dude
Walker.
from Dawson's Creek. Paul Walker
Pacey.
and Pacey.
Yeah.
And Coach.
why would you
That's
think
right.
that Josh Hartnett was in it?
I don't know. Listen, all those actors are interchangeable in my brain.
Apparently.
Those early 2000 actors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're all the same.
I just thought it was something like a common belief that Josh Hartnett was in The Skulls.
It was in my
No?
mind. But now that Andrew started saying it, I was like, I remember it's Pacey. I don't know what that guy's name is.
Joshua Jackson.
Joshua Jackson. Okay. Yes. Pacey.
So apparently there was according to lore, there was some sort of conflict or like a falling out between.
I think they called it a
societies.
squabble.
And it was something about around an award ceremony or a nominating, like an initiation ceremony within Phi Beta Kappa, which was Phi Beta Kappa is still around. It's actually an academic society, like an academic achievement society, and it's one of the oldest ones. And so in order to kind of like cool down, they came to the conclusion that they would members from what were the Linonia Society, the Brothers in Unity, and the Calliopean societies diverged from their groups, and then they formed what is now known as the Skull and Bone Society. So,
you know what? And here's one thing: they refer to themselves as the Bonesmen.
Yeah,
which is pretty
name.
fucking badass, but I feel like they missed an awesome opportunity for an excuse to call themselves the Boners.
The Boners.
Yeah. The Boners.
Yeah.
That's a fucking awesome name.
You know, it crossed their mind.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
The first guy was like, Boners, you're not
You
quite.
don't think-
Call them the
I
bony
don't think you
ends,
make the
like, that'd be
fucking.
You don't
fine.
think H.W. Bush was sitting in there like, we could have been called the boners?
I'm sure that's what they call themselves among themselves. That's probably what they refer to themselves as.
It's great. It's a great name. Hey, feel free, if any bonesmen are listening, feel free to take it. Any boners are out there.
Just give us a quick plug.
So some of the more prestigious members who formed the group was William Huntington Russell and Alfonso Taft, which was Taft of the, Howard Taft's, like President
Taft. Yeah.
They created this society with about 12 other members, and then in about like this was around the time about, like they said, like the kind of the literary societies that I mentioned before were kind of falling off in fashion a little bit. Like they were kind of like falling into stagnancy and the such. Like they kind of originally, the idea behind them was to be just places that people could meet. They were open membership, like anybody could really join. There wasn't anything, barring you from
So I'm assuming
joining in on any of these.
this is way before fucking beer pong was invented.
Way before.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's when frats were awesome.
This is before when solo cups were invented.
Did they at least must have togas, right?
Sure, they
I mean, yes,
toga
toga's
parties
been
back in
around
the day.
since,
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
since early Greek.
So, Dan, what you're saying is people were getting sick of the regular old societies. They wanted something a little darker, a little more secret.
Well, something a little
spicy.
bit. I think it was the idea to have something a little bit more exclusive was the idea. So that's what I mentioned before, that these societies had originally been open, and then Skull and Bones and the other ones started to distinguish themselves away from these groups by having certain like criteria that they kind of put out there. They're developing their own criteria for
Yeah, you gotta be
recruiting
rich and white.
members. I mean, that was
Two
that was
criteria.
any college at that point. I mean, that was pretty much Yale at that point. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
and so by like by about 1840, every class had at least one secret society, and then you had by the late 1800s, the campus of Yale was pretty much dominated by three secret senior societies. So these societies are for seniors, and
Oh shit! They got
that would
elderly
be-
people going to Yale.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
play a lot of shuffleboard.
All right.
Arts and
Backgammon.
crafts.
In
Yep.
bed by 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the tomb by 9.
And we mentioned them before, but like the three top ones at the time are pretty much Skull and Bones, Scroll and Key, and Wolf's Head, which all still persist to this day. Like they still exist.
I just can't. This is what Harry Potter stole this from.
Well, dude, yeah,
Yale.
except instead of like True Blood wizards and Mugbloods, Skull and Bones was like, you need to
Aryans.
be white and Aryan.
No,
you didn't
blood's
have to be
loud.
Aryan.
Jesus Christ.
There's three clubs, and they're all identical, just have different names.
Yeah.
They're all Slytherin.
Yeah, sorting out Slytherin or Slytherin. Really, but not for real. That's
For real, that's what's
that's
going
the
on.
best analogy we can give.
So as you know, as
they're only accepting Draco Malfoy's.
so the the club amassed a good amount of power on the campus. And this was mostly because by at least 1963, reports that kind of put it as like about, probably estimates are about 2/3 of the members had been or were members of the university administration. So you had...
Interesting.
So it was like, it just kind of became this thing because the separation between like graduates and like the underclassmen and those things, like there's within Skull and Bones, it became kind of a thing where it was supposed to be like there was no recognition of like rank or age. Like everybody was
when
equal.
You're in.
Your brother.
So if you're in as a student and the dean is a Skull and Bones member, you are on equal footing in the Skull and Bones.
The bonds of commitment transcend out of school through professional life till the grave. And even at the grave, they say, because you signed up, you actually got to give a little bit of your estate back to the club.
Yeah, so you had right here, you have a direct connection between the students in these societies and the administration. So, they were able to communicate, outside of official channels, sit down and have discussions, frank discussions about policies.
Well, and sometimes like the discussions of Skull and Bones members and students and stuff getting together would directly affect policy changes that, didn't get circulated to other people that maybe should have been involved.
Oh, absolutely. Well, think about the nepotism, right? Like you literally have members of your club that are your fucking, like your teachers and the people that are making the fucking rules.
Yeah.
Like none of those dudes are flunking anything.
No. You're bonded.
Yeah.
By blood.
Yeah, so it did.
Or semen.
We'll get to that.
So one of the probably the places that is very involved in the Skull and Bones lore is the place known as the Tomb, which is the house, like the official house and residence of the Skull and Bones Society. This place, which is called the Tomb, it's also known as the Temple or the Tea or the Boodle.
I like that.
Is a it is
name it the Boner Den.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Boner Den?
The Boodle?
The Boodle. Yes, the Boodle.
Great slang.
This place sits, it is like a little bit off campus. Like it is right there. It is pretty close. And if you look at it, it's a very older looking, foreboding Greco-Egyptian structure. Just
like,
pretty much
there's no fucking windows in it or anything, right?
There's like two tiny slit windows.
Yeah, it's a fucking tomb.
It looks like you have to walk up and speak friend to enter.
Yeah, it's got a whole black, it's got a black latched gate in front of it. It's very, foreboding, very
two big
very
padlocks on it.
Yep. And it pretty much is just, it's just one of those. But so, and then when you get inside.
Sorry to interrupt, Dan, really quick,
Sure.
but like, do you think, did that building exist prior to
Yes.
the Skull and Bones?
They bought it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that building was, so I wonder what the fuck it was there before. Why would
It's
you
just
make
like a house.
a haunted one with
It was
slits
a
for fucking
Jehovah's
windows?
Witness.
Yeah.
I actually think they've extended that one
That's
too.
not
I
the
think
fucking house you fucking trick or treat at, boys.
No,
I
that's
think they
straight
actually
from a horror
added
movie.
into it. I think it used to be smaller, and then they once they got a bit of money, they renovated it as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I was reading, like alongside no rooms, there's like several secret rooms. One of the rooms is allegedly reserved for William H. Taft, the 27th president. His dad was the owner. It's a little bit of a, daddy's boy there. And then another one is for members of the Nazi regime, allegedly. Is it safe to, I guess it's just a bunch of memorabilia on the wall. I don't know.
Just
Well,
old
one
war
of the allegations kind of leveled at the Skull and Bones Society or attached to them is that originally the group comes from Germanic origins. That the original at least one of the original founders had traveled to Germany and had gotten either obtained either a blessing or he had just got a lot of ideas about how to how to found and run an organization. And there's also
what is it, the Thule Society?
Thule.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it's
it's crazy because like the amount of people who are openly racist driving around the road, I see those things on people's cars all the time. Right?
Well, this was like 1800s. Like this is like when they founded
it would have been on the
Right.
back of the horse and buggy.
Yeah, see now, now it's on the back of the caravan as they're hauling bikes, right? Just out in the open like that. It's crazy. So if they're supporting Thule Society.
But it makes sense though, because like with the logo and the name, right? Like the Totenkampf is the fucking skull and crossbones.
That was on like the
Like it's their. Yeah, and if you look like the Totenkampf, it's basically I remember it was like one of the Panzer divisions had the exact same logo too.
But isn't that like not a common, but
I mean, were pirates part of Skull and Bones?
I'm pretty sure.
Nazis?
I'm pretty sure there's like members of. There's like I was reading that it's not just German though. There is like Australia, United Kingdom also have divisions that use like a skull and crossbones. As
I know, but like it kind of just plays in the fact that we're speculating that there are fucking Germanic origins to the fucking Skull and Bones.
for sure,
Yeah,
like 100%.
So that's
And they say like
I mean, officially they say it may have influenced them because those types of societies and those organizations were popular around the time that the founding of things.
They have this some of the same. They say they have some of the same like ritualistic practices and like the Thule Society. It was they believe that members of the Aryans, they were part of the Aryan supermen who survived the destruction of Atlantis, thanks to an occult power. That made them immortal. They're all said now dead, but they,
are they?
That's what they believed, and they say.
I mean, we got one. We got one on the podcast right now. Let's ask him.
They say, blonde hair, blue eyes, lives forever. They're saying. The skull and bone members also they're said to be like they believe in immortality of the soul, and they perform a lot of the same rituals. That Adolf Hitler did while he was a member of the Thule
Drawn
Society.
a lot of similarities. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's like when they say like, they're like, they're Nazis. I'm like, well, I mean, Adolf Hitler was in this thing, and I don't think the Thule Society. It's not like
Adolf Hitler was never officially in the Thule Society.
Never officially.
I mean, he wrote it. I mean, there are documents that, like he wrote it off as like that. He never wanted to be a part of it.
So
he was trying to give the Brotherhood some space from his evildoer.
Yeah, some of his fucking aspirations lined up with theirs.
Yeah,
he wanted the credit.
Yeah, they had the same goal.
In the end, it was same.
No mugbloods. That's what they. That was the goal. In Harry Potter terms.
So Hitler was a Slytherin.
Yeah, Hitler was Voldemort.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he is the fucking OG Slytherin.
But Hitler was to take the what house are you belong to?
Buddy, he's fucking Salazar Slytherin's cousin.
Yeah.
All right.
What house is Hitler? Obviously, it's Slytherin.
You maybe Ravenclaw. No, he's a Slytherin.
But
I don't know. What if he took the test and he was like a Hufflepuff or something?
There's no way. He's not welcome in my house. There's no fucking way.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah, come on.
Sully the good name of
You wouldn't be able to say that he took the test. I mean, you couldn't.
No, he didn't. Yeah, but there's no way. Sorting Hat wouldn't get that wrong.
Yeah. We listen, we can judge a character after and put him in a house and there's not a chance.
No dice.
Not a dice.
No fucking dice.
Ravenclaw, no. Not a Gryffindor.
No.
Slytherin, not. Yeah.
So like Braden was saying,
off Voldemort.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Absolutely.
Right?
The inside
Nagini.
Inside the tomb is a number of been described as just like it is a creepy place. It's a very weathered, very old place. Like within
shocking
if you
with
go
the name
inside,
like tomb.
Yeah.
The tomb.
Very fitting.
There's a Connecticut art conservator by the name of Marina Moscovici, who in 1999 she pretty much spent 6 years restoring 15 paintings in the building. Like they have a number of oil paintings of illustrious members and other just random artworks and things like they have within the house itself. And she kind of, her descriptions are pretty funny when she describes the atmosphere as spooky, but funny spooky. Everything has a Skull and Bones theme to it. And she said, compared it to something like the Addams Family house.
It's like my house on Halloween, man.
She kind of described it as being a campy in an old British men's smoking club way. Basically, if you walked into Sherlock Holmes's Baker Street apartment, like this is what it would look like.
Maybe this girl's just
his giant house.
She's just like super hardened. She sees the skulls on the wall. She's like, it's tacky.
Yeah.
But they're really just like old.
It's probably not even somebody's real skull.
That's just fucking tacky.
At least one bonesman was interviewed about it and talking about it, about like where they have, because they have a number.
Dan. Let's call them boners.
One boner was interviewed, and so they were. There's a number of skeletons and bones and skulls and things like this, and he figures that they were all taken from bio classes. Like he just stole them from the biology things, because there is a bit of.
Sounds like what they want you to think.
Well, the Skull and Bone Society is known for being thieves. Like crooking is a thing that they do, and crooking is considered like a rite of passage.
Yeah, they like promote it, like, and they try to outdo each other with what they steal.
Right. So it's like it's not a
why? Because they're fucking rich white dudes. What's gonna happen when they get caught?
Nothing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
A slap on the wrist.
You know who my dad
Don't make me
is?
tell daddy.
He compared it to being basically what you would expect a college dorm room guy in today, or around 2000s, with like Marilyn Manson posters and like Motley Crue posters. But this would be like the 19th century, so instead of those things, they had like Gothic and Teutonic images on the walls instead. It's just kind of like that.
Just girls with full corsets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barely any skin.
Flashing a little fucking ankle.
Yeah.
It's like going to the backside of Spencer's Gifts.
Oh, boys, that was a fucking trip back in the day, man. You do the loop. Every time we went to the mall, you did the loop. Every time.
You slow browse the front, and then you like get to the back and you're like, whoa.
Kind of check over your shoulder who's in there with you.
Yeah.
There's always some weird dude in the back till you wait for him to leave.
One of the most infamous rooms within the tomb is known as Room 322. They call this one of the most private room, or this is where most of the sacred activities have taken place.
Sacrifice.
Things like that. So they call it the inner temple, or the IT, or Room 322. And it is pretty recognizable because it is locked behind a giant iron door, which has been there forever.
The room inside the tomb is this Room 322. Right.
So what has been described as like the measurements for it, it's apparently 14 feet square.
It's not a huge room.
It's got about a 4 foot high black walnut wainscoting. Yeah. Wainscoting.
What's a wainscoting?
It's like it's like a wood feature, like a wood panel that you'd put.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly.
And they could be different. They could be like pleated or shaker style.
Sure.
Yeah, you know the ones.
Yeah. Halfway up the wall. Yeah.
Something you would expect to see in the Addams Family house.
Right? Yeah, it's old school finishing technique, and now no one can afford to pay for it, so no one does it.
Except Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
And and then within there they have all the oil paintings and things that they've had, and then there's like a fireplace, and then there is, in front of the door, they have this big inlaid mosaic with the number 322. So the significance of 322 is reported to be it is the death date of the Greek orator Demosthenes.
Wasn't that Kate? Now, as I was reading this, and I couldn't find it again, but maybe one of you guys knows. When I was reading this last week and I got to this part and I read this, wasn't this something to do, people point to Skull and Bones having fingers in the NWO, because this guy, when he died, they had ordered like the dissolving of the government.
This was, Demosthenes died, he committed suicide, actually. He was a contemporary of, at his time, Athens was involved with a war with Macedonia. This was back when Philip II, father of Alexander the Great, was taking over, the world at the time, pretty much the Mediterranean world. And so when they took over Athens, and then he started speaking out against the Macedonia and things like that, Macedonians there was a backlash against that. They sent soldiers to come and arrest him, and then he instead of being captured, he took his life. Or no, it was after Philip died. Philip II had died, and then Alexander took over.
Yeah, and then he led an uprising against Alexander.
Right, and then they said, no, we don't like that, and so he took his own life instead of being captured. So
he didn't want to get bit by Paretus.
So there's nothing about a dissolving, having forcing dissolving of the government.
I mean,
Well, I mean, he's leading up an uprising against the current government.
Yeah.
I guess a foreign invader, essentially.
Oh,
like,
all right. Okay. Well, see, I was trying to find it again because I was like, oh, I remember reading this like NWA angle like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. Then I couldn't find it again. I was like, man, I'm just crazy. Maybe I didn't actually read that. And I was just skimming. But anyways.
He was the perfect orator.
I mean, he's pretty proficient. Like he was
That's what they call him,
lawyer.
Cicero.
He was a lawyer and like a speechwriter. Like by the age of 20, like that was his profession.
So he's just like an intellectual, basically.
Yeah, but I mean,
He's a pretty smart guy.
let's be real. Let's be real. Back then, that's not that. I don't think that's big of a feat. Like, I don't know if he'd be as good
Talking
now.
about this ancient advanced civilization, Braden.
He was a very staunch believer of like Athenian supremacy. Like he was trying to harken back to the days where Athens was the superior power within the, like post Persian. What was it?
What is he saying? No
moops.
immigrants.
No, pretty much
Maybe.
anytime they took over a fellow territory, they kill all the men, take the women and children. That was the mindset back then.
So yeah, that's the significance, or that's the reported significance of 322. And there's a couple. I think there's a couple other ones that people kind of throw in there, but I mean, if you look up Demosthenes' death date, it is 322. So it makes a lot. There is a number of like they revere Demosthenes and his oratory skills. Like they like that is part of the Skull and Bones. They are a literary society, or they were
Nerds.
and so they do
Dweebs.
do put that stuff up on a pedestal. There are a number of within the tomb. There are a number of like bronze busts and sculptures of
Abacuses
Demosthenes
and other nerdy shit.
of these things like that. So
Hey, Dan,
above,
Dan, how long you been in the Skull and Bones, buddy?
I'm not in the Skull and Bones.
Oh, okay. All right. I've heard that before.
That's what
No,
someone.
Dan's in another one. Isn't he Kappa Gamma Beta or whatever? What frat do you belong to?
Kappa Beta Buttheads.
Yes, in my younger days, I was in a fraternity.
What was it again? What was it called?
I'm not going to say what it is.
What? You can?
You have to.
You're not allowed?
Oh, it's silly. It's not a part of my life that I'm very proud of, and it's like I don't really want to talk about it.
Can we talk about it after hours?
It's like
Okay,
it's
well,
not one of those
we're
things.
going to pry hard.
We're going to pry that out. And after.
We're going to get it out of.
And then we're going to look up the initiation rituals for that fraternity.
So above the inside of room 322, there is a painted blue dome with a skylight, which illuminates in the center of the room what is like it's essentially a poker table. And then
Yeah, that's what they want you to think. Then you flip it over, and that's where you do your sacrifices.
Yeah.
and then
Demon
I
board
believe at the
underneath.
center of this on the center of this poker table there is like a skull. They have like a skull figure.
Well, I'd
of
hope
some
so.
kind.
Is it the Skull of Geronimo?
It might be that one. I
Oh.
think it's in that room, and that might be the same one as what is purported to be the skull of the Chief Geronimo. Yes, the Geronimo, Indian rebel chief.
Is that Apache or what was the Geronimo? I remember
Geronimo.
reading this, but I couldn't remember what.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's Apache. I'd have to get
Because
to go and
then
look at it.
the family sued back
Yeah,
in
he's
the
Apache.
early 2000s to try and get his skull back. And there's like
Right.
a law in the States where they passed after the skull was stolen. So they said it doesn't apply to that certain skull. And they're like,
right.
okay,
So-
I guess we're not going to get.
If America had to do that, they'd be giving away a lot of shit that they've taken. All right.
When the family member, I think it was like a council member that from the Apache Nation that sued for it to get that skull back because they had received like an anonymous tip, essentially that they were in possession of what was reported to be Geronimo's skull.
They stole it in a grave robbery. Wasn't it Prescott Bush?
Yeah, it was like
The OG.
George W. Bush's grandfather
Yeah,
OG Bush.
reportedly stole it.
But that just
in a
goes.
grave
That
robbery.
just goes to the the saying of like that's we talked about one of their initiations and stuff. Well, not even initiations. They try to like out thieve each other.
Well,
in
that's
stealing
just frats,
stuff.
though. Frats, like you'll steal the other team's mascot and shit like that. Like that's
Well, and like members have been busted before, like trying to steal paintings and stuff from other places, and there's other skulls
you say
apparently they
paintings
have
or panties.
paintings.
Okay.
But there's apparently other skulls. There's I know they have a Mexican one too. They're rumored to have
Pancho Villa.
Yeah, Pancho
Skull of
Villa.
Pancho Villa
And
is also reported to be in there somewhere.
right, so it's like they like fucking straight up grave robbery. Like they're digging up graves.
Well, it's said that when the families came to to get it. Like they met with representatives and members of the Skull and Bone Society, and they told them, that they had the skull tested, and it actually wasn't Geronimo's skull. It was a skull of some 10-year-old kid.
Bullshit.
They didn't name who it was.
Yeah.
But they wanted the family members, or they wanted the members of the Apache Nation to sign a form that said that this is not Geronimo's skull, and they refused to sign it. So
This is not
still
the skull you're looking for.
Yeah, and so it still to this day remains that
I'm
in
just going to
possession
say
of
this
the
right now
Skull and Bones.
that I feel like if you had a grown man's skull like Geronimo's skull and a 10-year-old skull, you'd be able to tell the difference.
I'd hope so.
Because I think a 10-year-old skull would be pretty tiny in comparison. I would think. I've never held two skulls in my hand of a 10-year-old.
Never palmed a 10-year-old and picked them up.
No.
In addition to the rather like the prestigious
kids' heads grow pretty fast compared to the rest of their body.
big
So I'd like to
heads.
know when their head's full grown. That'd be interesting to know. I
Well,
don't. It's obviously not at 10,
yeah.
but
Yeah, at 10, Zell had a huge old russet.
Big. Extra large.
Yeah. Yukon Gold.
by the age of 5, the skull has grown to over 90% of the adult size.
Oh, so you wouldn't really
So there you
know.
go, boys.
Oh, shit.
You have to do like more tests on like the teeth
You
and
have
stuff to
to
find
do-
out the
yeah.
age then.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Did not know that.
Another case cracked by the boys at
Because
ATT.
you have all the growth plates, right? And then it's all a bunch of
fused.
different pieces of the skull, and then they
kind of fused together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In addition to the tomb and that property, there's also what is Deer Island, which apparently was a gift to the society by a patriarch of the city, like one of the older generations, and it is a
Now, was it a
40-acre
gift?
span of private.
Or was
It's
it
gift.
he died and it was
It's a
left?
fucking island. It's a fucking island.
Like a
Their
gift.
fucking symbol is a Jolly Roger. They're pirates. They took it.
Yeah.
They're stealing.
I
stole
mean,
it.
pretty awesome.
For sure.
They stole the island.
They stole the island
Stole
for
it.
sure. They had to.
They just planted a flag on it. No one owned it back then.
Yeah, no one's going to fight you for it.
It's a 40-acre span of private woodlands with apparently a 2-mile shoreline, and it's about 340 miles from New York City on the St. Lawrence River. So to actually get there, the boners can call Rogers Marina apparently and charter a boat to pick them up and take them there.
From what I understand, that this island has gone to complete shit now,
Yes,
though. Like it's
that's
in complete disrepair.
It kind of went. I think it went pretty south, like in the 70s and 80s, and now it like originally, it was like a nice place for them to go. It was a place that the seniors would go in between what is known as Dead Week, which is pretty much like the week between final exams and graduation. So they would all go there, and you go and unwind, and talk about your futures or whatever you do. Future world domination plans, whatever.
Plot your
Plot
how you're
your
going to take over.
and
Plan those conspiracies.
and after that, like it kind of became like places like they would go there, like because you can visit it still after you graduate, according to some reports by former or current boners. Sorry. And you can go and visit it and go there, and they will have like events. They'll have kind of just little getaways that they'll have, social events that'll go there. At least I think one lady was interviewed who had gone there as a girlfriend as one of the boners, and she kind of said that it was just kind of it was like summer camp. Like you went there and like there was some artsy craft. They were doing like arts and craft stuff, but it was still like it's not like Great Gatsby or nothing. Like it's
it's in shambles now.
Yeah, it's kind of fallen apart at this point, and nobody really takes care of it. But they still own it. Is what it, So, and that's those are the places that they have. So, within the most interesting parts of probably the Skull and Bone Society are the
Initiation.
Initiation.
And just before we get to initiation, though, I mean, you have to refill. We got to refill here
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's about to
Fill our
get a
skull
little wild.
goblets.
Yeah,
It's good.
we got to refill because we're about to climax. Initiations. Skull and Bones initiation. It's, there's hear a lot of different stories. One of the favorite ones that I heard was candidates are required to lie down in a coffin, wearing no clothes, revealing all their sexual history to the other candidates. And I was like, when I read that, I was like, there's like a ... after. I'm like, what? I was like, has none of these guys ever been in a locker room? I was like, I know just about each one of all my friends' conquests in detail.
Conquest.
In detail.
I mean, well, they call it connubial bliss,
But,
what they refer to it as.
I think the scam is though, right? Because you got to be naked, and what they probably do is they probably have a bunch of fucking pics, like a big. Remember like Mean Girls, the burn book?
Oh,
They just got a bunch of Polaroids of flaccid fucking penises. And they're like, if you ever talk shit, I'm going to share your fucking flaccid fucking ween. Everybody's going to see your bird. And
it was standard protocol actually to take fully naked photos of prospective of freshman class members in Yale.
That's
like, that was a normal practice for decades.
That's why you didn't want to talk about your fucking frat, hey, Dan?
Someone will track down Dan's bird.
There's a fucking picture of his pig snout somewhere.
Yeah, when you got admitted to the college, they took pictures of you. Like they took naked photos.
No, that was just your fucking dean.
Yeah. It's penis inspection day.
All right. Everybody bend over.
But like the significance of laying in a coffin, the Bones said it was to like make sure the candidate realized that life is short. And the aggressive masturbating was just to show them that it's fun and it feels good.
Do it while you can.
But yeah, they were like, rumor is that they would go in this, you would have to go in naked, surrounded by the other candidates and Skull and Bone members and just rub one out in the coffin.
Weird. Listen, so I've been rookied, and as you guys have too. Like I've been rookied a few times, been on a few different teams, and I've done the babies versus bitches race. I've done the cookie race. I fucking ran around, downtown Kelowna in panties, getting shot with paintball guns. Like I've done it all, but I'm not fucking jizzing on anything.
Dude, the worst one I've ever seen. You gotta draw a line
somewhere.
The worst one I've ever sing.
And like, at least the nice thing for me is when I played football, like I was never going to lose the cookie race. I'm racing against fucking like O-linemen and shit. Like I'm never going to lose. I'm not eating that fucking cookie.
You're not eating that cookie.
No, I'll never eat that cookie. Yeah. I never ate the cookie.
No,
I know a guy that had to eat a couple cookies.
Yeah. I never ate.
In case you don't know what the cookie race is it's a race, but you got to hold a cookie between your ass cheeks and the loser has to eat all the cookies.
You have to power walk your way to the finish line.
Oh no, there's no power walk.
But I know if you got good glutes, I can stride, boys.
There's nothing but
stride,
crumbs.
Yeah.
There's nothing but crumbs left.
Yeah.
The worst one I've ever seen personally, there's all the diaper and Edward 40 hands and all sorts of stuff. But the worst one I've ever seen was, I won't say any names, but 5 guys I was too young. I was a call up. So I wasn't actually like on the team. I was just being called up. And they stuck 5 guys in the bathroom of a bus on the way to Kamloops.
Oh,
and you weren't allowed to come out until you weren't allowed to come out until you got an erection. I was like, what the fuck? And one guy instantly came out. Instantly, he was in, he's out. He's like, boom, got one.
God.
Got it.
When I played football, you had to do a song and a joke. You do that at the front of the bus, and if your song and joke sucked, they'd stick you in the shitter. And then by the end of the fucking bus trip, you'd have like 9 people.
Everyone's in the shitter.
Yeah, it's not good. Well, no, just as long as if you had a shitty joke and a fucking shitty song, that's on you.
But alongside these, like this weird, jerking off, one of the initiatives is like each new member they have to swear to keep the secrets of the club and the rules and rituals and protect this society and its membership. They say the commitment requires satanic and psychological rituals that prevent members to freely leave the society. And it means after the initiation, the new member is a bonesman or a boner for life.
Boner.
Yeah. So he has to do something so degrading that if he ever left, they would ruin his life.
Well,
Like blackmail. They're blackmailing you with it.
There are talks about like potentially like oral sex and stuff like that, and like getting it on film.
The rumors, I have heard these rumors.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if you want to trap someone into a secret, you would have to hold the greatest leverage you think you could over this person. So if someone said like, "Oh, you see me jerk off," well, I don't give a shit. I'm still going to tell you all my secrets. Like, this guy jerked off. He's like, yeah, I did. Whatever. I fucked that place.
I did fucking 3 times during this conversation, bud. What else is new? Like, fucking.
But yeah, so, it would almost seem like you'd have to hold such a secret, something bad over this person.
Well, and like a lot of times too, you got to remember like the people who are participating in this too, right? They all have crazy aspirations, right? Like these people all, whether it's political or, entrepreneur, whatever the fuck it is. So anything like this could crumble their statesmen. Yeah, this could crumble their fucking career aspirations after the fact. So I feel like that would even be better for leverage. Right? Because
this kind of like bears a little resemblance to what people think Epstein had on people. Like bring him to these crazy parties, underage girls, get him on camera. You have ultimate blackmail.
Yeah.
And then you own that person.
The other thing is that, Zell kind of touched on it, that you swear to leave a portion of your estate to the society, like when you die. And in return for that, the society guarantees you that financial stability.
They have your back.
Like they'll have your back, and you're not going to be you're not going to be broke. Doesn't mean you're going to be living in the Ritz-Carlton, but maybe, you know what I mean? Like they make sure. And if you look at the who's who of that list, they have more than enough power and influence to make that guarantee, right? You have presidents, Supreme Court justices, like, billionaires, like so many people, influential members of the Skull and Bones that to make that happen. The other thing is,
they got enough pull to make a mouth breather president. So,
yeah. Well, that's one of the interesting things is, people say that it is an issue for these kind of secret societies that are formed that have these powerful members, is that like after you become a initiate and you're a full member, you take an oath, and that oath releases you from allegiance to king, government, constitution, or nation. And you are about furthering the interests of your brothers and brotherhood of the society. And people point to like the issues of like, well, when like say President George W. Bush, swears his oath as president,
it overrides.
He's already sworn an oath that no matter what, this comes second to his oath to the Skull and Bones Society.
And it's funny because like under normal circumstances, that's probably not that huge of a fucking deal. It's like, oh, you know what? Fucking Bob over there can get you a deal on your car insurance. He's old buddy from the fucking Skull and Bones, but now you got one of them who's a fucking president.
Well, and let's talk,
what's he going to be able to do?
Let's talk about that.
That's like, crazy.
When George Bush and John Kerry faced off in that election, both were members of the Skull and Bones Society. And me and Andrew kind of talked about that, like the issues of that beforehand, right? It's a stacked deck. So if you were trying to put members of your powerful group in positions of power, we kind of talked about before or after, before on Case Files, how these political lines that are drawn don't really matter. Like what they pit the people against each other doesn't really matter, because so much of the politics is special interests and special interest group. And what better way to make sure your interests are met than have both candidates running for each side, and you're both members of the same secret society and mingle in the same circles.
Well, that's not really debated especially in American politics, but not every, there's not been a ton of Skull and Bones presidents, but just every election, if you look at the money, the people are funding both sides, just in case.
Well, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is then you have these two members that are backed by a ton of influential. There's that one guy who they say he's the richest private equity manager. He's like worth $15 billion. Like you have so much money backing these people, and you're just like, yeah, you go left, you go right, and like hopefully we can get one of you guys in the presidency. Right? It's like if you have this group of people that are this powerful in various heads of state, government, executives, you have a ton of money and ability to do these things and have influence. why not push? Even if you were to be like, oh, it's not really nefarious, just to see like, can we do it? Can we have two of our members run at the same time and get a Skull and Bones member as president? Like, why? I don't really like. To me, I'm like, it's a scary thought that you had.
It's almost like
potentially two people that didn't have everyone's interest at heart, and they were more trying to forward the society's interests.
Well, you think about it too, and it's like, what certain event maybe that could have been on their agenda that they had to make sure fucking happened with one of. So they had to make sure they had two candidates because they needed something to fucking happen. And what did the fucking guy that was elected do?
Invade Iraq.
Maybe that was fucking pushed by the fucking Skull and Bones.
Perhaps.
Maybe either way, Iraq was going to get fucking invaded.
It was on the books. The new American century, they said 7 countries in 7 years, and I think that's what happened. Not necessarily, they didn't really invade per se. It's not part of America now, but
destabilize,
whatever the term is. But before we get
destabilize,
they took the oil.
Yeah, but before we get, there's like a lot of connections and stuff we can make. But let's go.
I got boys.
I know he's chomping the bit, but let's go back to the initiations because those are the ones. Those initiations were the ones that are rumored, the ones that people talk about that they probably do have. But there was actually one guy who claims that he was given information on how to observe an initiation. So what's his name? Ron Rosenbaum?
Yeah. So Ron Rosenbaum was a journalist who had investigated Skull and Bones for about a good quarter of a century. So like 20, 25 years. He had been researching the secret society. And he published in the New York Observer an account of what he believed that he had saw an actual Skull and Bones initiation ceremony, that he had been approached, or his research assistant had been approached by a person who was a member of, according to them, a member of the Yale community, and asked them if they would be interested in videotaping like this, or having a videotaping expedition. And he presented them with like an audio recording of what they said, what they claimed to be a Skull and Bones initiation or a Skull and Bones ritual of some type. So on Saturday, April 14, 2001, Rosenbaum with his research assistant and a couple of, I think 1 or 2 other people maybe.
A couple fucking online order night vision goggles.
They reported to have night vision. They had the whole everything. They had the whole setup ready to go. Or managed to get eyes on the inner courtyard of the tomb. And they witnessed, according to Rosenbaum's article, there was somebody who was representing George W. Bush, who was yelling versions of "I'm gonna ream you like I reamed Al Gore." Individuals saying things like "Take that plunger out of my ass, Uncle Toby." And
oh no!
And then somebody,
I'm gonna start yelling that when I'm angry. Take that plunger out of my ass, Uncle Toby.
And then in what Rosenbaum called apparently a reference to Abner Luima, who was a Haitian immigrant who had been tortured by New York police. People and crying, I guess people were crying, "Lick my bumhole, neophyte."
How is that in reference?
What's a neophyte?
Neophyte is a new member of an organization.
Why are the New York police licking a Haitian immigrant's butt?
I don't know.
What's happening here?
And why are we calling that torture all of a sudden?
Apparently the plunger out of my ass, Uncle Toby, apparently is what they call the reference.
Oh, did they plunger someone?
Yeah, apparently the Haitian immigrant had been tortured by New York police like sometime in that recent past.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't doubt.
I'm not going to yell that.
New York police aren't
the
nicest of people sometimes. But one of the most shocking things that they said that they saw was they apparently witnessed what seemed to be a part of the ritual where a person who was wielding a large knife, perhaps something like a butcher, resembling a butcher knife, was wearing some kind of like animal skin get-up that had a kind of barbarian look to it. And they were standing over a woman who was covered in what they assumed was fake blood. And this person, they had a new member kneel and kiss a skull at the feet of the woman, and then at that point, the man with the knife knelt down and was assumed was symbolically cut the throat of the woman who was laying there on the table.
All I can picture is that, what was that one dude from the raid on Capitol Hill who had the fucking antlers?
QAnon shaman.
Buffalo Man.
Buffalo Man or whatever. That's what I'm
QAnon
picturing.
shaman. Yeah.
The shaman,
QAnon.
yeah.
It's very Boho Grove, eh?
Very.
Yeah, a little bit. I also like when I read this account, I went, how fucking convenient that this guy is, given a tip of how to see this. And then he catches these shocking things of like people yelling, take that plunger out of my ass, Uncle Toby.
Yeah, they're probably fucking with them.
Right? That's
Apparently
thought.
Uncle Toby is the name that they give their like master of ceremonies for these rituals. Apparently, he's like the person who kind of runs these
But
things.
just that thing of like, take that plunger out of my ass.
Yeah.
Like when I read this, I feel like this guy, like you said at the top of this, is he's been researching for 20 years. And all of a sudden he gets a message. I think the society was fucking with him. And I think they wanted this article written. And I think they were all having to chuckle because when you read any of this, it doesn't make any, you're like, what? This is fucking batshit crazy. You're like, this is so weird.
It's like planned.
And it seems like planned weirdness.
Like this guy's going to be watching us. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You at 8:30, you say, take this plunger out of my ass. Try not to laugh though.
Yeah. Just say weird shit. I'm going to say this. I'm going to dress up like George W. Bush and say, I'm going to read me like Al Gore. Like that. Right. Like, I think they were fucking with him.
Well, it seems weird that if you had a secret society, obviously people know about it, but what happens in the society is the secret, right? That's what everyone pledges to. So if you had this room, like this building with no windows, or these very two like sliver windows at the front, why would you not keep your initiations inside?
Well, exactly. And it's, to me, I'm like, I think this was all set up as a joke for the inner members of the Skull and Bones to make a fool out of Rosenbaum.
Yeah, when you post the story and it seems like...
And it discredits him, right?
Big time.
Makes him look like a fucking...
Just like a weird fraternity.
And on a point that Andrew's going to make later on, what kind of name is Rosenbaum there, Andrew?
Ooh. That's a good point.
Right?
Ooh,
We did say this group kind of, may or may not have...
Totenkampf.
Right? Some Slytherin ties to House Slytherin, and may not like the Mugbloods. But I kind of felt like they were fucking with this guy. That's the vibe I get from this whole encounter. I was like, this sounds like people are fucking with him.
Well, what better way to hide
what happens?
To hide like what you actually do is give like a little bit of a sham. Just like this is this is a joke, and then they write about it like, oh, Skull and Bones are just a bunch of goofy frat guys.
Well, and
in
exactly,
the courtyard.
He writes this story. He gets it. Do you think anyone's giving him more money to write about Skull and Bones after this?
I mean, he went on a number of like TV shows. Like when he got pretty. He
probably did the tour right for one season.
He probably did the tour right, and he's saying this, but it's all fucking. I think they pulled a fast one on him.
That is one of the theories.
Either that, or they're fucking plunging people's asses. Who knows?
Yeah. Or they're having
secrets.
If it's consensual, is there anything really wrong with it?
No.
If you want to plunger up the ass.
Well, it doesn't sound if he's yelling, take it out.
Like, I mean, yeah, if you need a safe word, I guess.
Yeah, maybe Uncle Toby's their safe word. Yeah.
Maybe neophyte is his safe word.
I mean, neophyte is an actual term that you use to refer to new members.
Get people to pull plungers out of your ass.
Neophyte.
That's the Mysanuk of the Skull and Bones. Nope. Too much.
So do we want to hear the account of what they actually do according to a former patriarch turned engineer? Or
let's hear what let's hear what was said as what happens. Bunch of goofy stuff is what he says pretty much.
So in her book, Secrets of the Tomb, Skull and Bones, the Ivy League and the Hidden Path to Power by Alexandra Robbins, she interviewed a number of bonesmen and stuff. It's a pretty good read, and it's not that long, and I suggest people read it. She interviewed a number of former bondsmen boners, who had gone through these initiation ceremonies, and they said like this one that she interviewed and asked him about the whole initiation ceremony, and he described it as just kind of really goofy. Like it's just kind of just one of these things where it's like the new member will enter into a room and they kind of put a blindfold or a hood over your head and they spin you around in a circle, and then they kind of walk you through the room, take you on this kind of weird whirlwind tour of the building, and then all the while they're kind of whispering in your ear and telling you things about stuff, and it's like one of the description's very much like one of those haunted houses, like a haunted house where you go and you're like, these are the eyes of the witches. And it's like great.
You put your hands in the cold spaghetti.
It's worms. Yeah, it's pretty much very much those things. They're saying that once they remove the hood, they say they put them pretty much in a pitch black room, and they kind of they have things like what they call the Firefly room, where it's a bunch of the patriarchs of the society who kind of just have lit cigarettes and they kind of wave them around in the air, so they look like fireflies. So they look like fireflies, and then they kind of tell the initiate what he's about to do. You're going to take the oath and these things. Then they put the hood back on him, and then they walk him back through the house again. They said one of the ones that they said was like, apparently there's rumors of there's a rumor of an in-house swimming pool, that there's a secret swimming pool inside of this. And so they tell them that they're walking by it while they're flushing toilets. Like they're flushing toilets and telling them that this is the pool and this is where the boner whore lives. As they kind of goof off on this guy. So, it's very much, I mean, that's what, according to that interview with that one, is what they do. Which one of those reports of what is true?
Well, listen, I'm not going to, if I'm going to give an interview and tell them what happened, I'm not going to be like, and then I masturbated in front of everyone.
Yeah, you're not going to say that.
Right. And they took a picture of me, covered in my own semen because I was laying in a coffin. It was embarrassing. And the picture's out there. And now they're going to release it.
I didn't have cum gutters because I didn't do sit-ups, and it's all over my chest. It didn't run down in a nice stream.
But you're not going to say that. You're not going to say that
out loud, no.
Right? You know what I mean? Like I think you were downplayed. So I don't think.
Well, so on this point, say this Skull and Bones, what they have in you is so bad that you can't speak out. But if someone's like, hey, would you be willing to tell me your initiation process for Skull and Bones? That you talk to the Bone Society and you say, hey,
Boners.
The Boner Society. And you say, I have an opportunity to spread a little disinfo about the group here. Can I do it? And they go, yeah, just say anything that's not the truth. Go for it. And you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Discrediting again. Hiding the secrets of the inner workings of the society from the public. Perhaps.
Or they could just not give a fuck and they're just telling because they think it's funny.
Or they could choose the risk of having them and their whole family murdered and just break the silence.
Or not even that. Like the fact that you've also been promised the fucking financial stability and all the other perks of being a fucking boner. Why would you throw that away to do a fucking interview?
Yeah.
Unless you don't need the money. Unless you already have the money.
Unless you get a real suck on the organization and they're like, all right, listen, buddy.
Yeah, they said there's actually a story of a guy who came in apparently with he had drug debts and he was like an extreme drug debt and he came in, he got initiated, then he stole the fucking carpet and left. On the carpet and left.
What do you get for a carpet? A couple $100?
Enough to pay off his debts, apparently.
Worst tap night ever. Oh, that's what we forgot to talk. So apparently there's like a tap night and that's how they select initiates. They walk around and then someone will just tap you. And you're like,
they'll cup you on the shoulder.
There's a couple different tellings of like how tap night goes down. Like there's ones that they pretty much like, it's like a squad of guys. They call one of them is like there's like a guy, what is it? It's two guys and it's like four dudes and two of them are called shakers because basically they grab you by the shoulders and they hold you while you get announced that you are going to be whatever. And they have somebody to to guard the bathroom because they take you to the bathroom, I guess, and whatever, and say that you're being tapped. And there's no real argument. They just say, yeah, you're tapped. and
Why
then
they
you have
gotta
to
do the
show up.
bathroom? That's where things are weird. That's when they get the fucking real dirt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a tap night is a big thing. It's like, that's one of the, they say it's, it's kind of the draw of being an exclusive club as opposed to being an open club. It's like, you wait to get that tap from Skull and Bones. A lot of people work really hard for it. Freshmen are not allowed in the organization. And it's a lot of, those secret societies / also Greek organizations, like you're not allowed to recruit freshmen. And it's like, and so a lot of freshmen go a long way. Those who are legacies of Skull and Bones have said like they try really hard because you have to get into Bones.
You have to get noticed.
A lot of times you got to be above and beyond. So it's like, you join all the school organizations, get good grades, all of these things. So a lot of this stuff, like, they work to get that tap. It's like, you got to get it. And so it's a very kind of prestigious accomplishment in a lot of people's books. So then we were going to talk about the, what was it, before we got wrapped up in...
Do we want to talk about some of like the weird, like this, just like the secrets and traditions they have to do?
Yeah,
so, I mean, there's there's little tiny things that a lot of...
We'll go through a couple.
Yeah, there's only a couple like little tiny things apparently that boners are known for. That it's like little tiny, like, I guess, traditions that they observe, and some of them do it seriously, some of them not apparently. And like one of the best knowns is apparently like a boner has to clear out of the room when the words Skull and Bones or 322 are mentioned in their presence. So if
you
you're
could out
there,
anyone if you just walk into a room and go Skull and Bones.
Yeah. Apparently, like these, I guess the whole setup and procedure of these things, these rituals, are meant to encourage people to kind of be open with each other. That Yale used to be an all-male college. These first impressions and achievements, all of that stuff was important. How you presented yourself, all of these things. That the very idea of like that masculinity was very big thing back then. It was whatever. But these
Real big thing.
These rituals and these traditions were meant to kind of break down those walls in order to be able to more open with your fellow classmen. That, it even back then, even
so
today.
Get more dirt on you.
More dirt, the better.
Even then, right. Yeah. So
Blackmail.
never open up to anybody ever. Keep all your pain and secrets.
Seal it in.
Absolutely.
Nice
Seal
and
it
tight.
in
Bottle it up.
Let it boil up inside
until it
you.
drives you insane.
Yeah.
And then, whatever, and you snap. So
That's what men do. You murder all your coworkers. then you steel plate up a bulldozer and you destroy your town.
On your first day as a full member of the Skull and Bones, apparently each member receives a new name or a nickname that is given to them by the other the other names. Some of them actually, I think some of them actually choose them. Like there's usually they're given, but some can actually be.
I wonder how many dragons are in the Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
They can't think of another name. Let's fucking just call me Dragon.
Well, apparently George Bush couldn't think of a name, so they gave him the name Temporary. It was always supposed to be Temporary, but he never bothered to change it. So
that was probably every position he held in life was supposed to be temporary, just stuck around.
Right. Well, there's also the thing that it's like, no, apparently his name was, people said that he was Magog, and Magog is traditionally given to the member who has the most experience with members of the opposite sex.
Yeah, he got to second base once.
He had sex.
And
he touched
and
the
they contest that. Bush's camp will contest that claim where they have, because it's like people say, well, yeah, they would, because he was married with Barr. Like then, like he was married with, and he already had one son.
He was allowed,
So
he had sex once.
He had one
You'd
kid.
have Magog, who would be the one with the most sexual experience, and the least sexually experience would be Gog. The tallest member of the society was usually named Long Devil. And then you had Little Devil, who is the Long Devil's rival and also the shortest member of the club. And you always had usually a Boaz, who was any varsity football captain. And so anyone who was kind of left over, you could choose your own name. So apparently the names kind of changed with the times, like before, like they named them like Greek names and like, or
literary
famous
names.
Yeah,
and then,
literary names.
Diabolical names. Like
like later in like the
stuff.
60s, they chose like more diabolical names like Hellbender and like Lucifer and whatever, all those old ones.
Yeah, that's Hellbender.
But another rule that is observed, and it's pretty strictly within the
My
temple,
name's
is that
Hellbender, but Mogog over there slept with one lady, but I'm going to call myself Hellbender.
that's way cooler.
Yeah, way cooler. Yes, I'm a virgin.
Why do you ask? We talked about their kind of, shortly to touch on like their finances. One thing that sets another thing, I guess, I suppose, that sets
many
Skull and
things.
Bones of the many things that we know of. I'm saying there's other secret societies. I don't know what Scroll and Key does. I don't know what Wolf's Head does. I haven't looked into them. I mean, there's secret societies at other universities too, like Harvard.
Yeah, they all have their own type of.
Porcelain. I wonder what those guys do.
Yeah. Porcelain. Theodore Roosevelt was a porcelain, so if he was in there, they were probably in some really hardcore shit.
There's like a story about. There's a story about when Bones members, like, they were trying to like work with Roosevelt, he was just having none of it. And I wonder if there was a little bit of secret society clash, and it was just a clash.
No,
of wills.
he was getting he was supposed to get support from like a Bonesman or something for his like presidential campaign, and then they were going to kind of like, they were hoping that he would reciprocate on the points of this, and then once they helped him out and he got there, he pretty much told him to fuck off. Like,
fuck off. I'm
porcelain for life, bud.
Yeah.
So another thing that sets Skull and Bones apart is that the Bonesmen pay no dues. And most organizations of these types, like, you have to pay dues like every year or every school year. Like at the start of each semester, you have to pay a certain amount to continue to be a member, a full member, and gain all the benefits.
A member in good standing, I think, is what the term is.
And so but every year, all of the patriarchs usually receive a letter from the society. So patriarchs or members who have graduated, they receive a letter from the society treasurer, which requests them to make a voluntary contribution.
You open the letter. There's a picture of you.
Yeah. It's just it's a photocopy of your Polaroid. And it's like,
of
need $1 million.
Something that you did, that they know you did, that you don't want anyone else to know that you did. And they say, would you like to make a voluntary contribution to the club? And you're like, yes, yes, I do.
Damn it. Yes, I do.
So in 1997, according to the society's tax filings, under which they are incorporated, they are like a corporation.
They have like
how are you going to cheat tax without the corporation?
Yeah, they have like a holding company that owns all their properties. That's run by graduated members.
Yeah. So in 1997, the stated year's net assets were $4,260,597. And then, by the next year, it says the figure kind of shrank a little bit to like $4,115,000. And so I guess in 1997, the society received $164,000 in donations for that year. And then by the next year, I guess it shrank to $116,000. Nothing to scoff at, but it's still like, a shrinking
thing. Registered contributions. There's some cash in there. Come on. It's got to be bags of cash passed around.
We all know how people, they launder money through artwork. So it's like any of that artwork in there, technically, I guess you could sell. It'd all be tax-free. Like, and then here's another thing about Skull and Bones, which makes them even kind of a stranger, is that Bones does not use any of its wealth or connections to help the community. They do not participate in any community outreach programs. They do not commit in any charity or anything like that. Like all the other organizations do. Like Scroll and Key is known for its like philanthropic endeavors and stuff that it does. Like goes out and
that just goes to like their main focus is to support the interests of its members.
The members.
And that's it.
And so with those monies and the wealth and connections of Skull and Bones are meant to be primarily self-serving. Like they're meant to only serve those within the society. And that leads you to the entire network portion of Skull and Bones.
Yeah, we briefly mentioned a few. There's been 3 presidents
Oh, dude, statesmen, Supreme Court justices, governors.
Well, Taft was a president and a Supreme Court justice.
The entire CIA.
Yeah, CIA.
Well, not the entire CIA.
The entire CIA.
entire
No,
CIA,
Dan.
Not the entire CIA.
The entire CIA.
That goddamn
Their two best
CIA.
agents in the 60s were not Skull and Bones.
The first American, the person the first American spy, the goddamn creator of the goddamn American Football League
Yep.
AFL.
and the NCAA.
Yep.
Who was that? What was his name
I
again?
don't remember his name. I just know he was a bonesman.
Oh, Walter.
The
Walter
inventor
Camp.
of the double bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Lehman Spitzer. That's the guy behind the Hubble telescope, actually.
Yeah, the goddamn creator of 6 Minute Abs. Yeah.
I mean, like this network runs fucking deep though, and it's got some pretty nefarious connections. Like we already kind of mentioned Prescott Bush.
The OG Bush.
And- yeah, so George Bush's grandfather, who was a late senator, he was actually a director and shareholder of companies that profit from their involvement with the financial backers of Nazi Germany.
What?
Yeah. So
I'd also want to be like, who didn't?
well,
A lot of people
I
did.
mean, here if you want to get into it, we can.
Let's get
he's
into it.
definitely got his fingers into it because it's not only Bush, it's also Averell Harriman, who's another member of the Skull and Bones. And Averell Harriman, his family ran the Brown Brothers Harriman, which was at the time, let's say the 1920s, it was one of the world's largest private investment banks.
Oh.
Right, and they have direct links to supporting Hitler to his rise to power.
Like
Yeah, I'm saying that there were a lot of businesses. I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm not,
But we're not talking about a lot of business tonight. We're talking about Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
So we're going to touch on their connections.
Sure.
All right. So oddly enough, Harriman's mother also funded the American branch of the British eugenics movement in 1909,
Oh, Jesus.
which we know eugenics, fascist, racist, terrible.
There's one good race.
I'm going to give you one small guess as to where the headquarters for this eugenics fucking movement was.
It wasn't in the town where Skull and Bones is it?
It's not right.
It actually was on the campus.
It was on the campus. You don't say.
It was on the Yale University campus
For the eugenics.
for eugenics.
So that's like the study of
The study of self.
my next form, I'm taking a completely different person.
Yeah.
You got it.
Jokes.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, killing you.
Yeah, it's killing me. It's killing me. I can't blend in. I'm pointed out at every turn here for something I didn't do.
You briefly kind of caught onto it when you were about 18. You dyed your hair black, but it just wasn't a good look.
It grew out too fast. My hair was floating above my head. It never worked out. Anyways.
But yeah, so eugenics is the scientifically erroneous and immoral theory of racial improvement and planned breeding. So basically,
rid of the
superior
poor.
race. Get rid of the poor.
Get rid of the
minorities.
Anyone who doesn't have, true blood.
Mudbloods. But it's really closely tied with like population control as well. Because
Right.
when you look at it, it's like you don't trim from the top, you trim from the bottom. And what's at the bottom, what they would consider, minorities, the
People of
poor,
color.
everything like that type of stuff, right?
That's what they
Ask
consider.
me.
Religions they don't approve of, etc.
But so now we have this. We have these two families. You have the Bushes and the Harrimans, which are two like essential members of like arguably the two most powerful families that were part of like at point in time, like in the 1920s, the Harriman family was the most powerful family in the Skull and Bones, and then it was the Bushes, right? And so you have these two families coming together. They, one of the families has deep roots in eugenics. Right.
Ugh.
And then we have H.W. Bush, right? It's Herbert Washington Bush. Is that right?
That's
Or
the middle.
Walker.
That's the middle Bush.
Walker. That's the middle Bush, George's dad. So this guy who, basically was defeated in every time he attempted to run for Senate, right? He ran for Senate in 64 and 70, nothing. But yet he still ended up getting appointments from people like fucking Kissinger and Nixon to keep his political aspirations alive. Right. And then you look at
Kissinger and Nixon Bonesman.
Pardon me?
Were Kissinger and Nixon bones?
Maybe they
No.
potentially had ties to it, though. We don't know. Why else would they, elect this guy? And then you look at his fucking political record. Bush went from ambassador to China for 1 year. And then he went as the head of the CIA for 1 year. And then he went to president or vice president to president.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's a good run.
Like the guy
Good
couldn't get elected to Senate on his own. Yet he's going fucking like, look at that step. And that's quick. Those are within he goes from ambassador to China to CIA to vice president.
Bang, bang, bang.
That's a 3-year span.
That's a hell of that's a
good run.
That's 3 years for the books.
And
That's
then
a
not
good
to
3
mention
years.
too, like it's a fact that Bush was like he was well known proponent of fucking population control,
As in,
which kind of ties into
he-
eugenics.
He's pushing the agenda of what members are like of their beliefs.
Supported family planning is what he called it. But like there was I watched an interview with this doctor, Stephen Mumford, who was he was the president of the Center of Research and Population Security. And he said, while Bush was the vice president, Dr. Mumford presented him with a 2-page synopsis on the dangers of overpopulation, stating that overpopulation is more dangerous than atomic warfare. Bush then agreed with everything he was saying and said a lot of people at the CIA see it the same way as we do.
that there's too many people.
Too many people.
Interesting.
I mean, conceptually, isn't that true though?
Well, I think we could probably hold more people on this planet, actually, if everything was done right.
The link between, him, the person who he was closely tied with through his time as a boner.
Was the doctor a bonesman?
No.
Okay.
No. Just Harriman.
But it's interesting that it seems from the outside looking in that one bonesman is pushing the agenda of another bonesman. And that goes hand in hand with one of the things that we've said, that it's like you are to take the recommendations of other members,
Your fellow bonesmen.
bonesmen, and do it.
Boners.
Right?
Boners.
To further the Brotherhood's entrance. So he's like, I want this. He's like, how can we repackage this? And I can push it where, it's not the same, but it's helping your cause.
Well, and it's like, it goes back to at the beginning too. We said, hey, there was Germanic ties to this. Right. And then now we have known ties to Nazi Germany from 2 different members. And I'm sure there's probably fucking more. And then we get into the, key aspects of Nazism, shit like that, with eugenics and the Aryan race and stuff like that. It's fucking.
I mean, it's weird,
Absolutely.
to say the least.
Scary, if anything.
Well, it is scary on 2. It's scary for me in 1, obviously, to have the Nazi ties, but it's also scary that you have these people in these positions of power that their interests are tied to furthering
Each other.
Like, it's not furthering each other, exactly. Doing whatever they can to help each other get ahead, at the cost of anyone else. Like Dan said, they do nothing for the community. Nothing as an organization. Not like in Yale, nothing. So with the whole thing is like the priority is the members. So if you have people, and guys, we all know people who we've played on teams with, the 3 of us, who are like, when we were playing for the Raiders, live, breathe, die Raiders. We're Raiders. I'm a Raider for life. That's their life. And you're like, chill out. You got to think that there's people that are bonesmen and that have that mentality. And now you put those people, you put those people in really influential positions of power. And if even once they're making policy changes or stuff that benefits other members of Skull and Bones based on their membership to this organization, it's terribly wrong, right? Like ethically wrong. And you look at how many people have been in unbelievable positions of power. It gets a little scary. Or I go like, could this be a possibility that these people are just looking out for each other and doing what they can to promote their friends and their friends' businesses and put their society members in positions to succeed over other people when they otherwise wouldn't.
I mean, it seems like it's like a faction, throughout history.
Yeah.
There's different factions of families, groups of families. It seems like when you look at it, there's like 3 generations most of the 20th century of these close ties. They become presidents, take positions of power everywhere. And now we're in 2022. And I was kind of looking at it like, where is the new generation of the Skull and Bones? Did it get diluted and people like caught on too much and like they've gone somewhere else? Because it doesn't seem like there's new Skull and Bones people in those positions now.
Well, there is. I think what had happened is I think because like as the advance of media and stuff, Skull and Bones started to get a really bad rep of like, hey, listen, you guys seem to only let in white males.
Well, and everything you're forgetting, like shit hit the fan when that fucking kid, I can't remember his name, fucking Caleb Mandrake killed that fucking reporter kid, right? And pissed off coach Craig T. Nelson. He exposed him. Did you guys see the movie?
Which movie?
Skulls.
I knew you were talking about a fucking movie. I never know the movie.
It's right. It's autobiographical. Shooter McGavin's part of the fucking Skulls, everything.
But when I look at that, it's interesting to see the membership fall off. I think they have opened the society to women and people of color since I think the early 2000s,
90s or something.
Yeah, based on backlash of like,
well, the group was shrinking, not as much interest. People didn't want to join.
Well, and it was having a bad rep because people...
It was a boys' club. That was not... The times had changed and they had to adapt. There might have been a little late.
Yes. So, is there... that it's still around today? Is it as illustrious? Probably not. Is it past its heyday of power? We are probably seeing the Skull and Bones influence. While there's still a ton of people in positions of power and influence and wealth, I do believe that the heyday is probably over for the Skull and Bones influence and power. Not to say that they don't have any, but I think we're definitely in the denouement, like the downslope, right? Like it's tapering off.
If you think about it, it's like any group of people has like a trusted network, right? You have your guy who does this trade, that trade, this trade. You're going to recommend him. If he came to you, you'd probably do him a favor. And then when you take like a brotherly bond in a group, like you take that to the next level. So if you like truly swear to do this stuff for your fellow brother in this fraternity, it's kind of what it is. It's like the same thing as most humans have like a network, but when you get that much money, those decisions and the consequences are like that much greater. So when you see like these people becoming president and high-ranking members of business and industry, all who came from a certain secret society, there's got to be other groups, other societies who have produced other influential leaders, maybe not presidents, but as business and stuff. It just seems, it's just like almost human nature, like just without the fraternity, everyone's got a network. Like I trust this guy. If he came to me, I'd give him a deal. But then when you take it to that next level and add that layer of money and power and influence, it's the age old saying, like power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. All that. So the more
Machiavelli.
The what?
Machiavelli. Isn't that Machiavellian law?
Yeah. There's actually a name that they like to use in the nicknames. That was one that was mentioned, Machiavelli. Fucking edgy bastard.
But just see, you have too many people with too much power with similar interests.
And I mean, when every single member of your group is pushing towards the goal of getting Paul Giamatti movie roles, right? Anything is possible.
He fucking deserves them.
Because he was Skull and Bones is what we found out.
Paul Giamatti was Skull and Bones. I forgot.
And he deserves them.
I just scrolled to the bottom of my note in capitals and bold. I said, it says Paul, it's all Giamatti. It's all Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, it's weird. This kind of stuff, it's super weird. And there's no way you can look at it and be like, it's just a fraternity. Yeah, it is a fraternity in a way, like, brotherly bond. But I mean, they got more power, they got more influence.
Jerking off in coffins.
They got all these weird things.
But even get rid of all that stuff, like, all the weird stuff, initiations, whatever, the weird traditions, whatever, right? just get rid of who cares what that says. You still have a group of people who have just go on to Wikipedia and look up Skull and Bones members, and then just look at that list of people and these influential positions they held that were part of this organization.
Three presidents, one that ran for president, fucking a Rockefeller. Like, come on.
Yeah, like it's a huge network of very powerful people that were well connected. So if you take all that else aside, you had these people, Paul G, and at the top of the totem pole,
Paul Walker.
Paul Giamatti. But you take that everything else away, you have these people that were potentially colluding together to promote each other's interests above all else, right? And when you look at the list of influential people and where these people worked and what their positions were, you can see very quickly that they had the means and the power and the wealth to do just that. And then it begs the question of, did they do that? Did anyone do that? Right? Did it happen, or is that just all a myth? What do you think? And then when you look at it and you look at the list, you go, it would be fairly easy for these people to help each other out.
Yeah, and anytime some of these people are asked in interviews about that, they say, "Yeah, I was involved in that. I can't talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it." And they don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bush doesn't even George W. doesn't even. He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's hilarious.
Huh?
It's so secret. I don't even know about it.
Yeah.
So it's super weird. It's hard to say anything for certain because either the secret is so good and so well kept and never gets out, and all this other third party information about the rituals and stuff and the initiation is all just disinformation purposely put on the public, so you don't really know. But obviously it spawned movies and documentaries galore and countless internet articles about potential conspiracy from Skull and Bones members. I mean, you don't have to look too far. We didn't just make it all up. It's all out there. It's just pretty hard to prove in the end. But all the connections to, like, especially throughout world wars and mid-century stuff, super weird.
Absolutely.
But you don't hear much about there's a new 35-year-old candidate. He's Skull and Bones. You don't. So maybe in another 20 years you'll hear about these guys because they haven't got their power yet. They haven't got their pedigree, their notoriety out there through whatever. They haven't been helped enough by their fellow peers yet. But maybe, who knows? If there's another president in, say, 5 or 10 years who's Skull and Bones, come on, people.
I don't think, while I do think they still have a ton of influence and a ton of powerful members, like I said, I think their influence is on the decline. So whether or not there's other secret societies and stuff that have powerful members that are moving into positions and stuff, I just think because they were so late to transition, or they didn't transition because they were truly, looking out for a certain race, and so they didn't want to transition. I think membership has declined because people don't want to be associated with it or didn't want to be associated with it. And by the time they made a change, it's too late. And I think it's dying out now. Even when Dan was reading the financial numbers, like I said, numbers aren't to scoff at, but at one point they were getting millions, right? It's on the decline.
Well, and the island's gone to shit.
Yeah, no one's keeping up that summer camp.
Come on, boys. They could have their own Boho Grove.
It was there. They had the money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Little investment. Anyways, well, back on case file 322, we'll revisit Skull and Bones. See if there's a new president by then who's got Skull and Bones connections, or some world leader of some kind.
Buddy, that's going to be us, man. By the time we get to 322, we're going to be only Skull and Bones. Phil's going to be wasted away here, and the rest of us will just be nothing but Skull.
I'm already there.
Probably. You're probably right.
It's all Skull.
Skulls and Bones. That's what we'll be called.
All right, we're going a little long on the topic, but there's a lot to go through. I can go through a whole bunch of case files and angles on Skull and Bones, but I will do. Secret societies are kind of fun, so we will put more on the list as we go forward.
Well, they're interesting because there's real people involved and
they're doing stuff.
They're doing stuff.
They're doing stuff.
They're people and they're doing
They're doing things, and it's
Suspicious.
interesting to us and others on the internet.
Who do we got for Theorite of the Week?
This week's Theorite of the Week is the whole damn Slam fam. All right, big congratulations to the Slam family, adding a new member.
Hell yeah.
Leanna, beautiful. Congratulations, man. We love you. Happy for you.
Just a vital member of the Theorite community, all around great guy. Welcome to
Absolute Beauty.
welcome to the club.
society.
And if you're listening to Uncle Slam and his fam get Theorite of the Week and you're like, oh, I got a baby on the way. Don't even think about it, because unless we've had our hands on your gun, right?
That's the connection needed.
That's the connection needed. We had our hands on that man's firearm.
Firearms.
Multiple.
Arms. Yeah. Right?
And his bulletproof vest
Yeah.
at a gun range.
At a gun range. So yeah, that's an eternal bond was formed that day
Absolutely.
Anyways, welcome to the club, brother.
through fire and lead.
Hope she sleeps
brass.
well and you get a little rest over this first couple months. If we don't see you on the Discord, we know why.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Congratulations, buddy.
We see you posting nonsense at like 4 in the morning.
Just
like garbled nonsense.
Just
We know
nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that.
We know
what's going on. Don't worry about it. All right, and if you're not supporting your show and you want early access to all case files, ad-free, all the bonus stuff, the Discord, all the other stuff we've done over the years, D&D, ATT Confidentials, the list is endless. You know where to go by now. alientheorist.com. Hit support. You can't miss it. We appreciate it. This week's newest supporters,
Nice.
What I just say, I don't know.
Mars tax.
I know, but I don't know what that could. I could have.
We come in peace.
Yeah, hopefully. Skeeter, Christopher McCormick from the McCormick Candy Banana Fortune,
Excellent.
Compost Mentix, Manny Vila, Peppery Rock, Andrew Beckman, and Lackey White. Thank you very much for supporting the show.
And as we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the skies.